Singaporeans from all walks of life came together to assist in the search when the young girl went missing. Tragically, it was later discovered that she had already been killed by a man she considered to be her uncle. This heartbreaking story was initially published in July 2015 as part of an e-book titled Guilty as Charged. Please be advised that some content in these stories may be distressing to certain individuals. On the eve of Huang Na's 8th birthday, which fell on September 27, 2004, her mother departed for their hometown, leaving her in the care of friends. These friends resided with Huang Na and her mother in a modest room situated on the upper level of a fruit and vegetable company at the Pasir Panjang Wholesale Center. Despite her young age, Huang Na possessed a remarkable independence, having previously embarked on a solo flight back to China. During her mother's absence, she took charge of her own schooling, dined at a nearby food court, and occasionally prepared meals not only for herself, but also for her neighbors. Her daily routine included utilizing a communal restroom, while the auction hall within the center served as her personal playground. On the afternoon of October 10th, Huang Na made a phone call to her mother from a phone booth. During the conversation, she requested her mother to purchase an electronic English dictionary and a pair of sandals. The call lasted approximately 6 minutes. Unfortunately, this would be the final time Madame Huang Shuang would hear her daughter's voice. Tragically, it was also the last day Huang Na was seen alive. She was last spotted wearing a blue denim jacket, Bermudas, and was barefooted. On October 31, her severely decomposed body was discovered inside a brown cardboard box that was less than half her size. The box was found hidden amidst dense vegetation at Telok Blangah Hill Park, shortly after Penang-born Tuk Leng Hao was interrogated by the police. Tuk Leng Hao, a vegetable packer who had previously shared a residence with Huang Na and her mother, confessed to strangling the young girl with his bare hands in a storeroom. He had lured her there under the pretense of playing hide and seek. The revelation of this horrific crime left the entire nation in a state of shock. The police have made an appeal to anyone who possesses information to come forward and provide it. C.B. Liam, an assistant at the coffee shop, had the opportunity to see the missing person last. Liam mentioned that as the person walked by, they inquired about the absence of slippers, to which the person simply smiled and continued on their way. Madame Huang, who arrived back in Singapore 2 days after the disappearance, tirelessly searched the entire island for her daughter. She even explored construction sites and ditches in her quest. Madame Huang approached strangers with photographs of her daughter, asking if they had any information regarding her whereabouts. Additionally, she thoroughly combed through Bukit Timah Hill and Mount Faber after her niece had a dream that her daughter was being held captive on a mountain. Madame Huang couldn't fathom why anyone would want to cause harm to her daughter. She expressed, "I work here to earn money for my daughter's education. We live a modest life. I haven't made any enemies or offended anyone." Huang Na's favorite places, such as West Coast Park and the IMM building, were thoroughly searched by the police. In order to increase the chances of finding her, hospitals and transport companies were also involved in keeping a lookout for her. A retired businessman, aged 60, generously offered a reward of $10,000 to anyone who could provide information about Huang Na's whereabouts. Another Singaporean citizen added an additional $5,000 to the reward. Mr. Joseph Tan, the founder of Crime Library, a voluntary organization dedicated to finding missing individuals, along with his recycling company employees, distributed leaflets to passers-by near the location where Huang Na went missing. Additionally, the general manager of an online design company created a website to gather any potential leads or tips. ComfortDelGro, a taxi company, requested its drivers to actively participate in the search efforts. Across the border in Malaysia, 30 taxi drivers displayed posters of Huang Na on the rear windscreens and front seats of their vehicles. Furthermore, at least 5 coffee shop owners in Johor Jaya, Taman and Skudai also displayed posters to aid in the search. The 22-year-old Malaysian individual disappeared after being interviewed twice by the police regarding Huang Na's disappearance and agreeing to undergo a polygraph test. He informed the authorities that he had witnessed 4 gang members abducting the girl. Despite surrendering his passport, he managed to secretly enter Malaysia. According to those who worked at the wholesale center, Tuk and Huang Na had a close relationship, and he would often give her rides on his motorcycle. He was also one of the last people seen with her. However, Madame Huang Na's mother, did not believe that Tuk, whom her daughter referred to as Shu, uncle, could be involved in any malicious activities. Tuk's 52-year-old father, who sold fried KTO at the family's coffee shop in Penang, informed the Malaysian media that his son, the second of 4 siblings, had called him and denied kidnapping the girl. The father added that his only reason for fleeing Singapore was due to feeling pressured by the police. His Indonesian wife, Yu Lai, who was residing with his father, disclosed that he had contacted her to inform her that he was in Johor and that someone else had taken Huang Na. According to him, the last time he saw the girl, he gave her 2 mangoes and sent her on her way. His brother described him as a timid man who lacked the courage to borrow money or engage in fights, let alone commit a kidnapping. After being on the run for 9 days, Tuk surrendered to the police in Penang and was subsequently brought back to Singapore on October 30th. Tuk claimed that he entered Malaysia secretly because he wanted to see his 14-month-old son, but was unsuccessful in doing so. He insisted that the past 9 days had been a hell for him, questioning the benefits of constantly hiding. During an interview with the Malaysian press, he expressed sympathy towards Madame Huang and stated, "I want to tell her that I also love Huang Na because I have a child myself. I hope that people won't make baseless accusations against me, as the truth can be uncovered." At 10:30 am, officers stumbled upon a box concealed in dense vegetation after 30 minutes of searching. The dimensions of the box were 50 km by 40 cm by 30 km, resembling those commonly used at the Pasir Panjang Wholesale Center. It was securely sealed with masking tape, yet emitted a putrid odor. Upon opening the box, they discovered the lifeless body of a young girl, contorted into a crouching position. The state of decomposition was so advanced that forensic tests were necessary to confirm the identity of the body as Huang Na's. However, her mother was able to visually recognize her daughter. Interestingly, the park where the discovery was made was only a few minutes away from Tuk's Telok Blangah residence and a mere 15-minute drive from the wholesale center where Huang Na was last seen. In a significant revelation, the police disclosed that they had uncovered evidence of a struggle within a storeroom at the wholesale center. This storeroom, equivalent in size to a 3-room housing board flat's living room, had been rented by Tuk's employer for the storage of vegetables and dried goods. The shutters in the room were consistently closed, creating an atmosphere of secrecy. Based on their investigation, the authorities believed that this storeroom was the location where Huang Na was attacked. On November 5, Tuk, with his hands bound, was escorted through the wholesale center for questioning by investigators. Mr. Tan, who had been coordinating the search on his website crime-library.org, expressed his deep sorrow as he struggled to hold back his tears. He couldn't fathom the unimaginable ordeal that the young girl had endured. How could someone commit such a heinous act? On November 8, a large gathering of over 1,000 individuals, including numerous strangers, came together to pay their respects at her funeral. They solemnly followed the procession, which visited significant places in Huang Na's life such as the West Coast Market, a playground, and Jin Taya Primary School. The lid of her coffin was adorned with her beloved Hello Kitty soft toys, while Hello Kitty stickers covered the sides. Additionally, a Hello Kitty toy was hung from each corner of the hearse. Mourners brought an abundance of her favorite candies and snacks to honor her memory. Finally, she was cremated at Mandai.in 1999. Zhang Wenhai, the stepfather of Huang Na, was sentenced to a prison term of 2 years and 4 months. Similarly, Huang Na's biological father, Huang Quangrong, had also been imprisoned for working illegally in October 1999, while he was employed as a vegetable packer at the wholesale center. This was not the first time Mr. Huang had come to Singapore. He had previously secured a job here in 1996, but was deported in 1997 after it was discovered that he had falsified his educational qualifications. In the same year, Madame Huang was also repatriated for overstaying her visa. Following this incident, she faced further scrutiny for illegally entering Singapore, but was given a strong warning instead of facing legal consequences. By the end of November, she returned to Fujian with the ashes of Huang Na. Tuk's colleagues last witnessed him walking alongside the girl near the storeroom at 1 p.m. on October 10, as stated by the prosecution. It was unusual for Tuk to be present at the wholesale center on Sundays, as there was minimal work to be done. Around 1:04 time, Tuk enticed the girl to engage in a game of hide-and-seek within the storeroom, offering her mangoes to consume. The remains of the fruit were later discovered in her stomach during the autopsy. Tuk proceeded to undress her, restraining her limbs with raffia string and subjecting her to sexual assault. In order to prevent her from reporting the heinous act, Tuk suffocated her. He forcefully covered her mouth and nose for a minimum of 2 minutes, causing her body to become lifeless. To ensure her demise, he proceeded to stomp and kick her before encasing her body in 9 layers of plastic bags. Subsequently, he placed the bundle inside a cardboard box and sealed it securely with adhesive tape. During the daytime, it was deemed too risky to dispose of the box, so Tuk decided to wait until 5:30 p.m. at the wholesale center. Afterward, he borrowed a motorcycle from a friend who also worked at the center. He then returned to his Telok Blangah flat and spent some time watching TV. Around 8 p.m., Tuk went back to the storeroom to retrieve the box. He securely tied it to the back of the motorcycle and drove up to Telok Blangah Hill Park, where he ultimately dumped it. At 9 p.m., he returned the borrowed motorcycle to his friend. An hour later, Madame Lee, ex-Yu Queen, Huang Na's guardian, reported to the police that the girl was missing. Deputy Public Prosecutor Lawrence Ng stated, despite the age difference, the accused frequently played with Huang Na. The trial heavily relied on forensic evidence, which played a significant role. The analysis revealed that the adhesive tape used to seal the carton originated from the same roll of tape discovered in the storeroom. Additionally, a portion of Tuk's fingerprints were found on the roll. Furthermore, the bags used to wrap Huang Na's body were similar to the ones found in the Pasir Panjang shop where Tuk was employed. Numerous cloth fibers from both Tuk and Huang Na's clothing were also discovered in the storeroom. The police were presented with a statement from Tuk after he was arrested, which was used as evidence. According to his account, while playing a unique game of hide-and-seek in the storeroom, Huang Na accidentally hit her head. In this game, Tuk had tied her ankles with raffia string and turned off the lights. He explained that if she managed to untie herself before he finished counting and turned on the lights, she would be the winner. However, his version took a horrifying turn when he heard a loud thud and discovered Huang Na on the floor, experiencing spasms with her eyes wide open. Blood was dripping from the corner of her mouth. In a state of panic, he strangled her. Then, using his hand, he struck Huang Na on the back of her neck 3 times to end her suffering. He also stomped on her neck 3 times. Subsequently, he undressed her and sexually assaulted her with his fingers, with the intention of making it appear as if she had been raped. To further emphasize the gravity of his actions, a disturbing video was shown in court, depicting Tuk demonstrating these acts on a child-sized dummy. Tuk's colleagues who testified had witnessed him scolding the girl on multiple occasions and stated that he had even caused her harm at least once. Tuk's employer, Kelvin Engjo Meng, remembered confronting him after noticing bruises on the girl's hand back in July 2003. He claimed that Huang Na was being too noisy and he couldn't sleep, he informed the court. Another witness, Pakar Tan Ban Tiong, recalled 1 or 2 instances when Tuk used raffia string to tie the girl's hands as a way to teach her a lesson not to disturb us. Madame Huang, the mother of the murdered girl, returned to Singapore to testify. She mentioned witnessing Tuk lose his temper and throw things when he was agitated. She recounted an incident during a crab-catching trip where she claimed Tuk had struck Huang Na. I told him that if he wanted to play with a young child, he should control his temper. If he felt offended, then he shouldn't have engaged in play with her, she stated. In 1999, during her testimony in court, she mentioned that her initial visit to Singapore was in 1999 on a social visit pass to see her first husband. However, upon discovering his infidelity, she made the decision to remain in Singapore and search for employment. In 2001, she faced imprisonment for overstaying after immigration officers conducted a raid at the shop in Pasir Panjang, where she was employed. While incarcerated, she realized that her return to Singapore for work would be problematic after being repatriated to China, as her fingerprints were recorded by the immigration authorities. Nevertheless, her fellow inmates imparted knowledge on how to circumvent the system. Upon completing her sentence, she returned to China and intentionally injured her fingers on a hot iron plate, scarring her right hand and left thumb. Once her injuries had healed, she paid a trafficker $8,000 to facilitate her and Huang Na's arrival in Singapore in May 2003. Shortly after their arrival, they encountered Tuk. The defendant refrained from testifying in his own defense and instead relied on the testimony of Dr. R. Nagulendran, a psychiatrist, to assert diminished responsibility and avoid severe punishment. Dr. Nagulendran disclosed that Tuk had sought assistance from mediums on 2 separate occasions, once in Kulai, Malaysia, and another time in Leng. Additionally, he mentioned that Tuk, despite having an IQ of 76, which places him slightly above the mentally retarded range, usually considered 70 or below, was not mentally dull. The prosecution also emphasized that Tuk had no previous history of mental abnormality and that his actions in killing Huang Na were not disorganized. Deputy Public Prosecutor Eng stated that Tuk carried out the killing calmly and systematically, with every action being rational. After a 13-day hearing, Tuk was found guilty and sentenced to hang on August 26. Justice Lei Q Che observed the careful planning Tuk had put into disposing of Huang Na's body and clothes. He deliberately chose a rubbish bin without surveillance cameras to discard her clothes. Tuk wrapped her body in 9 plastic bags, placed her in a box, and disposed of her under the cover of darkness. It is evident that his behavior after the killing was the result of a calculated and unemotional mindset. Tuk's appeal was denied in January 2006, with Chief Justice Yong Peng Hao and Justice Kao Hik Tin upholding the conviction while Justice Kan Ting Chiu dissented, resulting in a rare split decision. According to forensic pathologist Paul Chui's testimony, Huang Na was smothered to death, most likely by Tuk covering her mouth and nose with his hand. However, Chui also noted that the presence of certain signs on Huang Na's body, such as a bruised tongue, vomiting, and loss of bowel control, were consistent with her experiencing a seizure. Although Chui stated that the seizure was a part of the dying process and not the primary cause of death, Justice Khan remained unconvinced by the available evidence. Even a final plea for clemency to the president proved unsuccessful. Tuk was executed in Changi Prison on November 3, 2006. Prior to his hanging, he had the opportunity to select his own obituary picture during a photo session in prison, while dressed in new clothes provided by his family.